What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm back with my guy, man. My guy, Mr. Cameron Byrd. Cam, what's going on, man?
Good. How you guys doing? How's everybody?
Oh, yeah. Always good, man. Always good on this nice Tuesday night,
Yes.
late
Always good to
night.
talk some football, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will take any opportunity to talk about it. Speaking of football, man, we got to go with the main news that's out there. Michigan getting the
Yes.
W, beating Washington 34-13. And honestly, Cameron, that run game for Michigan took over early and it didn't get better for Washington.
The running back that they had last year, Edwards, and then Blake Corum,
Mm-hmm.
who's from Fauquier County down here
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
Woodbridge or in Virginia. He played well, man. And then
Absolutely.
JJ McCarthy,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they had a good system. I just don't think Washington was ready for the pound to pound, run the ball, winning
Mm-hmm.
in the trenches. I don't think they were more of a passing team, you know.
Right. Right.
So
You got to look at they in the game before in the semifinals game before when they played Texas. Texas almost ran for about 200 yards on them as a
mm,
team, and that was without their main running back. You know what I
right,
mean?
right,
So,
right.
and you saw early in that game, Edwards busted off. I think his first two carries was like 2 carries, 86 yards, and 2 TDs.
Yeah,
Like
it's
he was
crazy.
electric. You know?
And Corum,
Yeah, absolutely.
Corum had 2 touchdowns too.
Yeah, and the thing was, Michigan almost had, I think they almost had like 200 yards by the first half. I think it was like 188 by like early in the third quarter. I
Right.
mean, they just ran all over him so much so that
Yeah.
McCarthy didn't have to do much. But
Right.
McCarthy played elite in his own right.
Right. Yeah. And I think one of his best skill sets play action,
Mm-hmm.
doing the offensive play action.
Yeah,
Um, which I was surprised that Michigan didn't blitz as much as they did in the Alabama game, which they
yeah,
didn't need to. Their
yeah,
defense played good,
yeah.
but they didn't need to blitz as much as they did Alabama
Oh yeah, oh
against
yeah. Different,
Washington.
different play call because and we didn't get to see it as much. But Penix, he had been torching teams all year.
Right. Yeah.
Back to back years where he threw for over 4,000 yards after transferring to Washington.
Right.
Um, honestly, I mean, in the Alabama game, Milrose is a running back. He's a quarterback that runs very effectively. So obviously, the focus will stop him. But I think in this one, what I wanted to see was the secondary. I wanted to see Sam Still. I wanted to see Johnson, those defensive backs. I wanted to see if they can hold up with a Dunze and McMillan um,
Uh-huh.
uh, and the other receivers. You know what I'm saying? So I thought they did great, but I knew it was going to be a passing attack.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I like the way Michigan is balanced. So they run the ball, but they don't just run the ball. They
mhm.
go off play action. They pull the linebackers in, and then they throw to Roman Wilson, Colson Loveland, and all the receivers that they have.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Oh,
um,
absolutely.
and they're a
Yep.
good red zone team. I've seen them in the red zone as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they'll run it with Corum, or they'll pass it with to the tight end, whichever tight end's in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are absolutely one of the best just overall teams. Let's put it to you that they are the best overall. They're the national championships. Champions. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they honestly, with the exception of Georgia, they have been one of the best 2 or 3 teams in the country over the last 3 years. And all
Right.
that, since we are talking about head coaches, all of that goes back to Harbaugh. We know
Mm-hmm.
about all the investigations and all that stuff. And we also know that now that he won a national championship, there's rumors that
Mm-hmm.
he's interested in coming back to the league. We know there's a lot of vacancies. What do you think? Do you think he's coming back?
I think he will go to the NFL, and my
Really?
second point is, I think JJ McCarthy will go wherever he goes as well.
Ooh. Oh, I like
Yeah,
that. I can see that. Okay.
yeah, because I feel like, um, obviously Harbaugh's going to need to have a team to build around a quarterback. So
Mm-hmm.
why won't he go with somebody he's familiar with, which is McCarthy? So
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, I
yeah,
believe it.
yeah.
I believe it. I can see it happening. And I mean, look, he's got. I mean, not only McCarthy, but you got Corm. You got some defensive players.
Right.
Zinter will. I know he's hurt, but he'll be back. You can definitely get him. There's a number of guys that you can definitely pick up from that team that will
Yeah.
definitely follow him wherever.
Right. Yeah.
So that's gonna be interesting. Where do you think where he could go though?
I really don't want him to go West Coast because with the Chargers or the Raiders, I really don't. I want him to either go to the Titans or the Commanders. The reason being is because um, the division that the Raiders and the Chargers are in, it's hard with Matt Holmes and everybody. He would have a better chance if he went to the Titans or the Washington Commanders. I feel like.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Those are definitely places that would need him, and there are places right now that have availability. Look, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, this past Monday was not only the national championship, but it was also Black Monday. A number of head coaches got fired, and we can start right here in the nation's capital. Ron Rivera, after 4 years, 4 unfortunately unsuccessful years, we got one playoff berth. He was fired, relieved of his duties today. Also, Martin Mayhew was let go as well. What do you think about this, man? Where do you think? What direction do you think they're going to go in?
I think they're gonna. I think this was the right call. Yeah, he's had the playoff, one playoff appearance, but I mean, the losing seasons, the trading away Josh Sweat and not Josh Sweat, who was it?
Montez Sweat,
Montez Sweat, yeah, and Chase Young. I think that was a clear sign. The linebackers, they got traded away, so it was just a dismal disarray from the beginning, I think.
Yeah, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. For most of his tenure, with the exception of this year, he was under Dan Snyder. And I mean, obviously, we know how crazy that is, and the drafts have not been good. But I think to your point, this guy was a linebacker when he played.
Right.
And he never got us a decent linebacker. Even when he was at Carolina, he had Luke Kuechly. We didn't have anybody at linebacker to that caliber, and we never signed a guy that was at that caliber. And it just baffled me. And just like you were saying, his personnel, the guys that he brought in, they just didn't. They weren't dominant guys. They weren't guys that everybody was clamoring for. They were guys that needed a job, essentially.
Yeah, Scott Turner, I liked him in the first maybe 2 years, but when he got fired, I felt like the offense struggled. And when they switched to Sam Howell, it wasn't a bad move, but it wasn't a move that they were confident. I could tell. They were just like, well, he was a third string a year ago. We'll give him a shot, and it didn't work out. So that's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, and they knew, I mean, let's be honest, they knew that they didn't have a great offensive line. The players that they signed, Andrew Wiley and Nick Gates, weren't great linemen, and they didn't work in the system. So honestly, it almost seems like it was a throwaway year, and they were just kind of saying, "Here's Sam, just throw him out there." I mean, if it was going to be like this, they should have just put in Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, they should have. And then they brought in Carson Wentz. What were they thinking?
That was when they brought him in last year, I was like, what? And you gave him all that money too? Like, are you serious? Yeah. So,
I'd say the best was Alex Smith, maybe. But that was a ruined career as well. The way he came back though for you guys and led y'all to the playoffs, I mean.
But that type of stuff is the type of stuff that reminds me of the Rivera era, where it's like you have this guy that's literally on one leg, comes in, he beats the undefeated Steelers that year, and somehow, Rivera leads us to the playoffs with the no-name quarterbacks and everything like that. And it's exciting. That was great. Like we started that season 1-7, and then all of a sudden we're rushing to the playoffs. Chase Young gets the Rookie of the Year,
Right.
but at the same time, it's like it's fool's gold. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because it wasn't realistic. We saw what
Right.
happened. We actually had a tough schedule the following year.
Right. And Fitzpatrick too. I don't think that was.
He played like a quarter for us.
Yeah.
Not a fan of that guy. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Straight up.
How do you feel? No, I'm gonna ask you. How do you feel about where they're gonna go moving forward?
Well, right
Offensive
now,
mind, defensive mind. What do you think?
I think offensive minded. I think personally. I mean, let's be honest. Ron Rivera was a defensive mind. He brought in his guy Jack Del Rio, both defensive minded, and yet our defenses were pretty poor. You know what I mean? We struggled. So I think we need to go to a younger, fresher guy. Obviously, been hearing who the offensive coordinator for the Lions,
Okay.
Gordon. I've been hearing his name. Bobby Slowick.
Yeah.
I've heard his name come out there. Um, I want somebody that's going to be young, that's going to be ready to work with this offense and put some points on the board. You know, we average about 18 and 19 points a game. Like honestly, even
Yeah.
at
That
our
ain't gonna.
best this year, we scored 30 plus, I think, twice. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
we need to put points up.
And especially people in your division, the Eagles are now good and the Cowboys are now good.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be in that contending, category.
Exactly.
So yeah,
So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what they do. I mean, obviously, what's her name? Josh Harris he's eager to get somebody new in here. So
yeah.
we'll see who he brings in. But I'm eager to see what direction he goes in.
Mm-hmm.
Man. So, let's move on down the list, and a move that is not as expected. Mike Vrabel of the Tennessee Titans led them to a playoff a couple times, could not get over the hump. He was fired from the Titans. What do you think about this, man?
54-45 record. That is over 6 years. That is impressive. I think also the majority of his time there, they were in the playoffs. The last 3 years, 2 years. Sorry, 2 years have been kind of like a dismal for him. But I feel like he is definitely going to be tucked into the next job. Like he's going to be up there as far as the next job.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like I said, I didn't like the way Mariota was gotten transitioned out, and maybe how the defense was run. Maybe trading away some of the key players that they needed, but Dupree and Kevin Byrd to the Eagles. Even those, that was kind of like, well, that's kind of people we need to kind of turn the season around,
Right.
So, even in that, I think those are some questionable releases and even questionable trades that he made. But and even the draft picks. I mean, he drafted 2 quarterbacks in the last 3 years. Will Levis and Malik Willis.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they don't. I mean, they don't. It doesn't seem like they're all in with Ryan Tannehill at this current point.
No, it doesn't. And that's kind of why I think maybe they make this move. Obviously, we saw that Derrick Henry, said appeared to say his farewells to all the people at the Tennessee Titans, fans and facility, all that stuff. And then obviously Tannehill has been in and out most of this year, and like you said, they drafted these quarterbacks. I think maybe they're trying to go younger. I mean, even with DeAndre Hopkins, they got him, but I think he's just going to be on a short-term deal. So I think they're trying to go younger with the way they're going. And I mean, you were the worst team in one of the worst divisions in the league. I mean, the Texans got to the playoff, but Jacksonville, we know they choked, and the Colts, fortunately, they went to where they went. So you weren't able to do that. Like you weren't able to win that. You were like the worst in that division. So that says something. But it surprised me. But I mean, who knows? Maybe they're going in a different direction.
Yeah, I mean, 6 years. I mean, that's a long time to be there, and he's well over the 500 mark as far as record. So, but is a respected coach, former linebacker, Patriot linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see where he goes. But like you said, I don't think he'll be sitting for a long time. This next guy, I don't think I can say the same. Arthur Smith gets fired from the Falcons after kind of making a spectacle of himself on national TV after the Saints scored one more time. Yes, it was disrespectful. Maybe they should not have done it. But Arthur Smith came over and had some choice words that were caught on live TV towards Dennis Allen, the Saints coach. He's let go. It has not looked great. He's had a number of top 10 picks. Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Drake London. We've seen all of these type of picks. He's gotten pieces. He's actually got some nice defensive coaches, but they have not looked any better. And still, somehow, they were in the hunt and in a shot in the last game of the year to play for a playoff spot. So, what do
right.
you think about this, man? Was this a good move for Atlanta?
I was honestly shocked. I was like, oh man, Atlanta's doing it again. But honestly, it makes sense because he's only won 21 games in 3 years.
Right.
So if you think about it, 21 and 60, I think. I think that's honestly that's not good. And
No.
with Jesse Bates and AJ Terrell, the people that they have on that defense, and everybody rallying around, the offense that they have, I feel like they should have done more. I feel like they should have had more the opportunity to score, win games, especially get to the playoffs at least once out of his 3 years. So,
Right.
that's just my thoughts.
And they were always in the hunt. I feel like they were always kind of in this spot later in the season where they were a game or two out, especially with, since Tom Brady left the NFC South, he left the Buccaneers, that division hasn't been, the most high powered. You know what I mean? So it's not like he's had opportunities and he
Yeah,
just has not been able to get it done with all that talent. I mean, the writing was on the wall. I got a lot of Falcons fans that have been telling me all they want is for him to be out. So that's
yeah,
where it is.
yep. He's out.
There we go. I'm interested to see who would come in after him. And hey, let's stick in that same division. This guy was fired, didn't even last the full season, man. I
Yeah.
know. I know you had some thoughts about this. What do you think about this guy?
Well, anytime. Let me go back to the Colts because I feel like the Colts is where and even the Eagles when he won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. So the
Mm-hmm.
Colts, he was there for 6 years. He's had 6 quarterbacks in those 6 years. Led to the playoffs. Defense was okay under Mike Eberflus, but I feel like for the Panthers, you can't have a younger quarterback with a kind of more experienced head coach.
Absolutely.
Because it's like one is ready for we got to win right now, and one is just getting ready to develop. So, only 2 games the whole year, and Bryce Young didn't play well at all. So, I think it was the right move.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't changing. It didn't look good at all. And I know they didn't have a lot of talent on that team, but still, I don't know. It just didn't work out. But when you have your owner throwing drinks on people,
yeah,
maybe things weren't great in house anyway.
yeah.
So it's going to be interesting because obviously, I don't know who's going to want to come in there and coach under him. But I mean, do you have any thoughts of who you think might come in for Carolina?
Maybe Verbal.
Hmm.
Because he worked with Mariota, and Mariota was, in his late 20s when he finished his career at Tennessee, and the way Vrabel does defense, he is a defensive coach. So they have Derek Brown, they have Jeremy Chin, they have people around that J.C. Horn, they have people around that can do, that can fly around. So I think that'd be a good fit for him, even if he gets a younger offensive coordinator, I think that would help Bryce Young as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, look, you got the piece at quarterback now. You just got to build around him, and it's going to be interesting. But I agree that I don't think you need it. I think you need a young coach to
Mm-hmm.
work with a Bryce Young like that. I don't think you need some older coach unless it's Nick Saban, because obviously we've
Yeah,
seen what Nick Saban can do. So
yeah, but Nick Saban ain't leaving, so
right, and
yeah,
and we know Bryce ain't going back to college. So,
yeah.
um, but yo, what are some of the other spots that are open?
The Raiders, I
Mhm.
think. No, I have something like the Raiders. The Raiders, I think Anthony Pierce has got the job,
The-
but if
uh,
not, and I'll give my point in just a second. If not, it might be um Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator from the Lions.
yeah.
That's a good one. Because again, like I said, with Max Crosby and even that defense is scary. If you put all the pieces together, and if Devontae Adams, if they get a good offensive mind, I think they'll be able to do something in the division. Um, that spot's open. The Chargers is open, and I think that's it. I think that's all we have. Um, Chargers, the
New
Raiders,
England, is
maybe
that
New
open?
England,
Yeah,
maybe
maybe,
New England. Yeah,
because I know nothing has come out about that, but I know he had basically said, he'll do whatever is necessary. But
yeah, yeah. I think definitely. What's it called? Yeah, I think they're definitely gonna try to find either offensive mind for the Chargers for Justin Herbert and
mhm.
offense. So yeah, I think
I
that.
wonder if Herbert and them stays. I wonder if those. I mean, Keenan Allen's not getting any younger. Mike Williams has the injury issues. I
Yeah,
wonder if Herbert stays there. I mean, how long can they keep that band together?
not very long, and they can't rely on just one or two receivers
Right,
every year. Yeah, that ain't
right.
gonna work.
And if I'm not mistaken, they're not in the most favorable salary cap position. I
Yeah,
think they're actually kind of maybe in the red. So I gotta take a look at that. But it's gonna be an interesting situation for whoever comes into that Chargers job.
right. Yeah.
But oh man, oh yeah, oh yeah. Any
So what about New England? What do you think? Belichick. What are your thoughts on that?
So I'm one of the few people that thinks it was Belichick that was the great one and not Brady. And even though I know Brady went to another place and won a Super Bowl with a stacked team, mind you, in my opinion, I always thought Belichick was the mind. And that's because I knew him when he coached for the Giants in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? When he sat there and had these amazing defensive um, game plans that shut down these all-time offenses. You know
Right.
what I mean? I
Right.
think there was something that they said like in the 1990 playoffs, they played the Bears mid-season. And the
Yeah.
Bears, won like 11 games, but they had the number one rushing offense in the country or
Right.
in the league.
Yeah.
And so instead of, trying to, let's just limit them, let's just limit it. What Belichick did was he actually set it where they had a 5-man front and
Mm-hmm.
then had the outside linebacker come up to almost make it a 6-man front.
Right.
And the Bears at that time, incidentally, they had a Harbaugh at quarterback, but he was not good. They
Yeah.
they were relied on their running game and their good defense, and they
Right.
shut down that running game all the way through. So Belichick has had the mind from the beginning. He's put the pieces together. He is getting a little up there in age,
Mm-hmm.
but if they will move on from him, I think they go. You got to go with somebody that Kraft is going to be able to work with. So it
Right.
might be an older guy. Who knows? You might not want to go super young after leaving Belichick, but whoever comes in, it's going to have some mighty big shoes to fill.
Yeah. 60 Bowls. I mean, the winning record, the whole
Mm-hmm.
18 winning seasons. That's a lot to
Oh yeah,
fill.
oh yeah,
So
and it probably will never be filled. But it's almost like the person that had to come in after Brady. You're
Yeah.
never gonna beat Brady, but
Yeah.
so
Yeah. So, but yeah, man, I just think with the openings, I think we have a few openings every year now. So, coaching openings at least every year now. So, you know, you could say, Mike Vrabel. You could say even some people in the league, but you could also say people in college. Give a shot. Uh, to these college coaches as well. They're doing well. So
yeah, and I mean, and again, we aren't even in the playoffs. The playoffs are just starting. The college football season just ended. So once the NFL season officially ends, then a lot of this stuff will start coming out. A lot
yeah,
more. You know what I mean? You'll start to
but
see coaches go in different directions because I know for one, the defensive coordinator for Dallas, Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn, yeah,
Yeah, I know a lot of people have been interested in him. They love how obviously what he's done for that defense in Dallas. So
yeah,
I'm eager to see kind of what direction they go. And I mean, but again, once the season ends, then we'll be able to see.
right. You got
So,
any We got any Super Bowl predictions?
um,
Have you made it yet?
for one, I don't think it's going to be a number one seed versus number one seed. I don't think it's going to be Baltimore versus San Fran.
Okay.
Um,
Why?
um, for me, both of them, I think not have been I don't think they've been exposed, but I think both of them have flaws. And if you catch them on the right day, I believe they can be beaten. I love what the Ravens have done. They've come up with their passing game, although they have they have dealt with some injuries,
Right.
especially on defense. So I want to see how they're able to, get over that. But at the same time, the game goes as well as Lamar goes, and they're hot right now, and he's potentially MVP. I mean, he's
Right.
my pick for MVP right now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's the Ravens until they have had this problem about since they got to Super Bowl, they've had this problem about getting over the hump of the divisional round, and until they get over that hump, I'm always going to question them. We've seen them be number one in the AFC a couple times. But I mean, if there's a year to do it, this is the year to do it.
Yeah.
And as far as San Francisco, I mean, CMC and Debo. I mean, that team goes with the two of them and that defense.
Right.
I don't think Purdy's been exposed. I think though that Purdy, it's going to be a little bit harder for him this year, in my opinion. Especially if he has to come against one of these top tier teams. I mean, we saw him against a solid defense, albeit he didn't have his top guys in CMC and Debo. We saw him against the Browns. We saw him in that 3-game stretch where they lost, where he really struggled. And even in some of the games when he had everybody, he still kind of has had some struggles. So this is his year. You had to get the opportunity. You get all the way to the championship, and then you get hurt last year. Well, this is the year. Now you're going to get your chance. You're the number one seed. Let's see what you can do. But as far as picks, let me actually, as a matter of fact, let me look at it. Let me bring it up real quick.
Because we got maybe Miami can finally get over.
But they've got injury issues, and you know what I'm gonna call right now? I'm gonna call Detroit and Buffalo.
Ooh.
I'm gonna say Detroit and Buffalo, and I'm gonna say I'll say this: one team that has not won a Super Bowl will win a Super Bowl. I'll say that. Because one team hasn't been, the other team hasn't won. So we'll see who gets it. But I got Detroit and Buffalo. Who do you have? Who's your prediction?
Please not Kansas City. I've seen them the last couple of years.
Right.
I'm kind of like, it's the same deal. I want to say Detroit and Dallas. Wait, Detroit and Dallas can't go, right?
Yeah, they can go in the championship, but not in the
Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
You think Joe Flacco can do it, man? I don't think so.
I mean, crazier things have happened.
Yeah, I don't know. He's done it before, but that was like
Right.
a couple years ago, like a long time ago. I
Right.
don't know, but he's playing well. Joe Flacco's playing well. Yeah, yeah. Joe Flacco is playing very well.
Oh, yeah.
Um, how about Jordan Love, man? Jordan Love.
Ooh.
I like the way he's been playing, especially against the Chiefs and the Detroit.
Well,
Yeah,
I would love for him to keep his run going and beat Dallas this weekend. Don't get it twisted.
yeah,
I would absolutely love that.
yeah. But I think it's gonna be. Why do you say Buffalo? Do you think Buffalo can beat?
I think they're hitting right now. Honestly, Buffalo for me is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You know,
Yeah,
some weeks they're really bad, and then other weeks all of a sudden they're just dominating, and you're just like, "What? Who is this team?" So
right.
right now, I think they're playing pretty good. They got this matchup against Pittsburgh, and we know Pittsburgh. T.J. Watt has hurt, so he won't be playing. So I think Buffalo can get this game, get a nice little win, and then slowly move on. But in my opinion, when I look at KC, like you said, they're not 100%. I don't really trust them. Same with Miami and Cleveland. I love Flacco, but the fact of the matter is they're still working with their fourth or fifth quarterback and
Right.
their second running back. They don't have
Yeah.
Chubb. So it's gonna go and come with that defense. And I'm not even still sure. Like last time they played Houston, I know they whooped Houston, but they had a lot of injuries on Houston in that game. CJ Stroud didn't play in that game. So I think this matchup is going to be key.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be Buffalo and Baltimore in the AFC Championship, and I think Buffalo can get the dub.
Mm.
So
I don't think Lamar is ready. He always says, "Oh, we're gonna win it, and we're gonna win. He said in his draft day he's gonna win the Super Bowl." But I just don't think with the injuries he's had, even in maybe the inconsistencies throwing the ball. You never know. He's played better this year. I just don't think I guess because it's a lot of pressure to get to the Super Bowl. Because you think about if you win it and then if you don't, then it's a whole, you gotta work all the way back. All 18 games just to get back there. So yeah.
But this coach might have a little. He might have a little motivation since his brother just won a championship. Now he's like, man, I can't let you be. You tie with me with one championship. I got to get a second one.
Yeah. Yeah. I would see a rematch between Baltimore and San Fran. I think
that.
Yeah. I can see it.
I like that. Hopefully it'll be a little closer.
Yeah.
Well, closer than the regular season game, not the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl came down to the wire.
Yeah.
After the lights went out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a competition committee right there. They're like, this thing's about to be a blowout. We need to shut this thing down.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, man. Well,
right.
my guy, man, it was really fun talking to you, man. I'm definitely gonna throw this up on YouTube and share this out. So you definitely do the same, man. And
I will.
We will have to wrap soon, man, because this off season is upon us, but also this playoff picture, man. It's gonna be interesting, man.
Right. We'll have to either get a Super Bowl talk or even before the divisional round.
Oh, absolutely. I'm here for all of it, man. I want to see all these things that are going to happen and, where do we go from here? So I'm down for it.
Right. All right, man. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, my guy, Mr. Cameron Byrd, coming on here, helping me out, talk about this stuff, man. We're going to be back with you. Definitely stay tuned for all the news and notes. We're going to try to bring you everything as quickly as we can get it. And stay tuned for our playoff talk and tune into the playoffs, man. A lot of good stuff's coming. And football is, a month and a half away from being over. So enjoy it because it won't be here that long. So,
all right.
Peace, people. We'll talk to y'all next time.
Thanks for watching. If you like that clip, be sure to check out the other great content from the Let's Talk Football community. And as always, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when more great content like this becomes available.